Vikings Draft Night. This is going to be just a fun night as we get you set on our NFL Draft Special. Who will the Vikings select at number 18? Will they stay at number 18? Will they trade? Hello, everyone. I am Dawn Mitchell, joined by Ahmad Hicks, Ron Johnson, and former Viking Bryant McKinney. Bryant, thanks so much for joining us. You look like you could play today.
Thanks for having me. This body can't.
Bryant, so when it's a day like this, does it take you back to the beginning of your career? And what was this day like for you and getting things started?
It definitely does. It takes you back because it's like a new chapter to somebody's life that's coming in, and the excitement and just having no clue where you're going to land. And then when you get there, you realize, like, okay, I got to find a place to stay. It's just a whole bunch that comes at you at one time. So it's very exciting, for the player and their family.
How quickly do things transition from the hype, the hoopla, from being drafted to, oh, wait, I'm a National Football League player now and I'm at the bottom of the totem pole?
Pretty quick. You get in there because everything seems like it's moving slower because you're still trying to learn to get acclimated to where you're staying, the playbook and everything. So everything seems like it's moving super fast. So at the beginning, it seemed like there's a lot coming at you at one time because you're trying to absorb everything. But after a while, it'll settle down and then, you get the hang of it.
Hey, man, we were in the same draft class, man. 2002,
wow.
Yep.
Me, you, Ed Reed, all the names, Phillip, Mike Rump, everybody, right?
Yep.
Shockey. You guys had a prolific draft class that year. And so but when you saw, Ed going to Baltimore, not too bad, you were going from Miami to snow. What went through your mind right away?
First thing I thought, okay, what's in Minnesota? And then I was like, all right, we have a dome, I'm good. So once I realized it was a dome, I was like, okay, I'm good. Because I was like, is there a dome? And then I was like, I thought about Mary Tyler Moore because my mom watched the show. Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Prince, all those things came into mind. But then also the next thing I was worried about was the weather and then having the dome. So that was very important.
Brent, they always say players, when they retire, I do not miss getting hit or hitting. I don't miss the car accident that I feel like I'm recovering from on Monday. But I do miss my teammates, what it's like in the locker room. And I know that you still are close with many of your former teammates. What was maybe the number one thing that you don't miss and that you do miss?
Practicing probably every day.
Yeah.
But I would have dreams that I was late for practice or coming out of retirement.
Yep.
So it's part of me still probably wants to do it, but my body's saying no.
When you look at the evolution of the game nowadays and just how athletic some of these players are, what comes to mind about what you would have been able to do against some of these type of freaks nowadays?
They do a lot of things based off science now, which I like. So far as I see if somebody's too dehydrated, they'll pull them out of practice. And those are things that's because things have advanced. So science and everything is more implemented and stuff. So if I would have had that, I would have been able to take better. Because you had to weigh in every Friday,
right.
Sitting in the sauna.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So I'd put myself behind it a little bit because I done sweated 3 pounds off and had to go weigh in. So having that knowledge now, it helps them out. I'm pretty more with their performance and everything.
But how much more difficult do you think your position would be, from back in the day to now with how athletic these defensive ends and tackles are?
I was physical, so I don't really think but you do have some people that I wouldn't mind going against Garrett Miles and even Donald.
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. Yeah, I would like to try myself against those guys.
Okay.
Too.
And one thing I will say, though, our era, it was way more physical.
Yeah.
You could choke guys and not really get caught with it. And now, hands to the face wasn't called as much. There was a lot of things. But, looking at, like you said, the business side of football, right? Mm-hmm. You had a situation where they didn't want to pay. We talked about this before. They didn't want to pay you.
Actually, I just talked about it with Rob Brzezinski earlier today.
Because he didn't want to pay you?
What was that
He
like?
said it wasn't him. It was the owner because he was trying to save money because he's trying to sell the team. So we had a whole conversation earlier this morning about it.
So for people that don't know,
he said my bad. It wasn't, it was a business.
Yep.
It's a business on both sides.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so what would be your advice for the Vikings first rounder now when it comes down to money? Is it, hey, get in the building early, or do you think, you got to get your money because you never know?
No, it's always business first.
Okay.
Because guess what? If the team makes a decision of letting you go, nobody's going to say, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if I make a decision to say, well, can I take care of myself first and then I come and do my job?
Right.
Yes, it's a business decision on both sides.
Yeah.
Well, when you have a conversation like that with Rob Brzezinski, who's been with the team a long time, and you can be that honest, does it make you feel better after having that even all these years later?
He approached me on the conversation.
Oh,
he brought
wow.
it up. So it must have been on his mind 20 – because it's been 25 years now.
Wow.
25 years later.
It's been bugging him.
It must have been. So he brought it up. And we spoke about it, and he was just like, it wasn't me. And I understand. It was business.
Because you brought up like collusion and
I did.
teams talking about each other. Because it was a serious thing, so that's probably why. Because he knows about all the stuff that happened. So he's like, hey, look, man, there was no collusion.
Charlamagne.
On the Breakfast Club. Look, Brian, I want to ask you a question, though. When you look at some of these contracts nowadays and the money that's being thrown around with new positions and whatnot, what comes to your mind when you think about what you guys made back in the day and how you paved the way for guys to make what they're making now?
I will say, as we see, gas went up, so the price of living has went up too. So I expect the pay to go up, but I see that they're making a lot of money now.
Yeah,
and a lot of it's being guaranteed too,
right?
So, which is good for them. So I applaud them.
That's good.
Do you follow the game now, and how do you get into all the draft picks?
Actually, I do. So I have a podcast called Believe in Vikings with me and Wobshaw. We do it weekly. So
you and Wobby?
Yeah,
nice.
me and Wobby are together.
Okay.
So we do Believe in Vikings. So I basically stay in tune with the Vikings pretty much to know what's going on.
And when you look at the way the NFL now protects the quarterback, you can't touch his helmet. You can't do this. You can't lay on him.
Can't breathe.
And honestly, too, if you think about like the offensive tackles, though, they're not allowed to start as far back anymore. So they've changed so much in the game. Do you see it ever going back to that where it's just like tackles can be maybe a little bit further back? Defensive linemen maybe can just like it's hard to not put 75% of your body weight on the quarterback.
Every year they kind of switch a little bit of play, like rules, and then like they let it go for like 3 or 4 years, and they're like, we have the meetings at the beginning, then they'll switch things back again. But yeah, I guess to see how it works, and if it doesn't work well, they'll move it back. But the guys are doing good.
And as an offensive tackle, does a guy like Kyler Murray, would that help you? Because, he's going to get out the pocket. You get beat. He's not getting sacked right away. How much does a guy like Kyler Murray help an offensive line as a whole?
Oh, a lot, because he's going to make some guys miss, and then for you to get back on your block or whatever's going on. So, I feel like more of those quarterbacks now have become like very mobile.
Yeah.
Kind of in our era that everybody's kind of just standing in the pocket. You had like 3 maybe, you know what I mean? So it's definitely changed. Everybody's like more mobile, and they're going to make you miss. So even if you did miss your block, the quarterback could probably help you out and escape a tackle, the first tackle.
And one more, and so the Vikings, let's go into the draft, right? Keontae Scott, your guy out of Miami, he's a guy like, he should have won the Biletnikoff. They're looking for a safety. Did you tell Rob Brzezinski?
I did. I said a Hurricane, but don't mind moving up to get Ruben Payne. But I did, because I said the whole time I was here, I was the only Hurricane here the whole time.
Yep.
And I said, we can get some more Canes up here. So, hey.
Say the Canes are back. The U's back, huh?
They always say don't say that, but put a couple years together, and then we'll see. But they had a great season this season.
I want to ask you a question about what the challenges are when you have not a young quarterback, but a skilled quarterback like Kyler Murray. You talk about how he's able to make some guys miss in case you miss a block, but what happens when he's getting down the field and you set a certain type of way, you got a guy funneling in? How does a mobile quarterback make your job harder?
You have to then start looking at the eyes of your defender, because read their eyes, and they'll tell you what's going on behind you. Like you start looking at their eyes, it's like, something's going on behind me. And so now you just got to kind of mirror them a little bit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Out of your whole career, out of all the quarterbacks, whether it was, you can even go college if you want, but mostly pro, I'm interested in. Who did you have the best relationship with on the field? Who did you like being in front of the best time in your career?
That might be 2 different people. So probably the best relationship was Dante Culpepper, but the most fun was Brett Favre.
How so?
Brett was fun. Like Brett. Me and Dante knew each other prior to me getting here, so that's why the relationship was there. But I was really cool with Brett as well. But Brett was just, everybody rose their level for him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I say you have a couple players like Ray Lewis, Tom Brady, that they can go to other teams and people just pick up their level. Brett Favre did that for us here at the Vikings.
And John Randall talked about in practice, he would make the offensive line's life a living heck. Like he would. Who did that to you? Like, is there anybody that you guys were like, this is not a full go day that we don't want to deal with this guy?
It wasn't one of the starters. It was like somebody who on practice squad is like, bro, I just playing the game, and you.
He said that is my game.
I'm sore. It's December. It's like you're doing all this. You gotta check him one time and be like, all right, well, stop.
Brian, what's one of your memories here that you always look back on that you say, man, I'll never forget that moment as a Viking?
I want to say the 2009 season. Even though we didn't win, I feel like that probably was the best team. in 2009. That team.
I have to say that is the hardest locker room I have ever been in after that game. Usually they'll let us in 15 minutes after.
Yeah.
It was a half hour, 45 minutes. I walk in there, I think I'm the first one. You are all in your uniforms still, all at your lockers and all. Is that like the heave crying? Like, do you remember that moment
I
after?
remember because the Super Bowl was in Miami, so I was so happy, like, oh, I'm about to go to Miami. I played the Super Bowl.
Said you had your plans already.
I did everything back there. All right, I'm going to get this person the ticket. I was ready.
Is it the most painful thing?
That is, because that was the furthest I had been at the time. So that was like,
He had them 15 tickets ready. He's like, I got it lined up.
Had
I
them
know
allocated.
exactly who coming.
But it was hard because that, all that time, all these years playing for year with 8. And then, that was the furthest I ever got, too. So to be that close to the Super Bowl and not, get in was tough. And that was a great team we had.
That was the saddest Bellinote had ever been.
Well, on that note, Brian McKinney, thanks for joining us. Where can
thanks for
people
having
hear your podcast and find out everything you want to
So
say?
Believe Network, they go on, Apple and everything, just type in Believe in Vikings.
Okay, awesome. All right, Brian, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're just scratching the surface here on our Vikings Draft Special. When we come back, much more for you. And, of course, as of now, the Vikings are still picking number 18 overall. We'll see if there's a trade. We'll see if something happens. It's never boring on draft night. We'll be back after this.